Fandom Friday, where a member of the Rogers Public Library staff tells you something they are a fan of. It's me, Evan Day, again, and since it's the end of the month, April, I decided to once again talk to you about some of the books that I've been reading. Just a few books, actually. First and foremost, for those of you who are aware, we have a lot of books on the Libby app and Hoopla. Hoopla and Libby are apps that you can download to your Android or Apple device and get all sorts of, on Hoopla specifically, comics, books, audiobooks, movies, and music. On Libby, there is lots of books, audiobooks, and comics as well. I've been reading several comics, catching up on things that I wanted to read. One I'm reading right now is Iron Man Armor Wars. Now, this is actually a comic book about Iron Man from the late 80s that I've heard a lot about. The plot revolves around the idea that Iron Man's technology has been stolen, and he is now desperate to get it back because that technology is now being used by supervillains. Justin Hammer basically is this evil business person who is having stolen and spied on Tony Stark's technology, is now using it on to sell it to a whole bunch of different villains. And what's interesting is that it cuts to sort of the heart of the Iron Man character. Tony Stark, he's this great inventor, this businessman, this guy who was using his technology. That's his powers. He doesn't have any superpowers. His powers are all about the stuff that he makes with his superpowered suit. Well, what happens when somebody uses that for evil? You think about, people who have made, whether it's nuclear power or whatever, you make a technology and then you worry that somebody might use that in a way you never intended. What's really interesting is how Tony Stark is willing to go to pretty extreme lengths to actually try to keep his technology out of evil hands, making sure there's no even a chance that it could ever fall into hands. That means actually perhaps going up against a hero who might also have gotten a hold of the technology as well. And it's interesting to see where that takes him. So, still reading the book. So far, it's living up to expectations. I do have two other books I've been reading this month that I want to talk to you about. Raptor Red, I mentioned this in a previous video about Animal Protagonist. This is by Robert T. Bacher. He is a paleontologist who helped out on the Jurassic Park films. This is a story of a Utahraptor. Now, if you watched the movie Jurassic Park, you remember the Velociraptors. In the movie, they were actually much larger and bigger and totally different from what people believe Velociraptors were actually like. But the Utahraptor was found after the movie Jurassic Park, and those creatures were actually a little bit closer to the size of the movie dinosaurs. Anyway, this is from the perspective of a female Utahraptor, hunting, trying to survive, care for her eggs, that sort of story. Just started it. I think it has a lot of promise. I'm always fascinated by dinosaurs, and I'm also fascinated by stories, as I said in the earlier video, with animal protagonists. I've been reading a few other books, but just to show you that what we as librarians sometimes read. I'm reading a book on young adult literature by Michael Cart, young adult literature from romance to realism. So far, it's pretty interesting. Some of it is just technical stuff, but also has sort of a nice history of young adult literature, where the first, discussing what was the first young adult novel? Was it from the 1940s? Was it S.E. Hinton's The Outsiders? It's an interesting question, and how has that changed over years? Anyway, why don't you tell me and us down in the comments section below what you've been reading in the past month, and tell us whether you like it or dislike it. Thanks so much for watching. I'll be back next week with another Fandom Friday.